So please,
Okay.
Jonathan.
So thank you. I'm Jonathan Lurie. I work at Camptocamp in Switzerland. It's near Lausanne. And today I'm going to study a plugin we developed last year called OSP13. We'll see what that means. That leverages a lot the existing QGIS forms and adds a few things to it. So a first word about Camptocamp. It was founded more than 20 years ago, and now counts 200 employees over different countries like Switzerland, where it started, and then France, in Chambéry in the Alps, and now we are also established in Germany. There are a few people in Munich and also in Berlin. And we love to contribute to open source. It has been the case since the beginning of the Camptocamp story. QGIS, of course, but also open layers a lot and plenty of other projects. Since last year, it's a subsidiary group of Swisscom, which is the major telecom company in Switzerland. We have usually three offers. We are going to focus today on the geospatial, the team that I belong to, but we also have business solutions for project management that have nothing to do with geospatial, and also infrastructure such as hosting and stuff like that. So this plugin, so OSP13, OSP stands for Outil de suivi de projet, so literally project management, and 13, it's because it's the 13th department here on the French Riviera. This project is done for the public administration called DDTM, which stands for Direction départementale des territoires et de la mer. So it's the entity, one per department, about 100 of them, who manages everything that happens or is being built on the territories. And for the coastal department, it's also at sea. So they don't deal with all the navigation part, but with all the infrastructure, they deal with that. And 13, as I said, it stands for the department Les Bouches-du-Rhône, where you can find cities such as Marseille and Aix-en-Provence. Their mission at the DDTM is including many, many things. So it's a public agency, and they deal with city planning to avoid sprawling of cities, public funding for affordable housing. They regulate everything agriculture or forestry to preserve the environment. They also act a lot in the conservation of biodiversity and for natural disaster and hazards. And they plan all sorts of infrastructure, so energy, communication, transportation, mobility, of sorts, basically everything. And before having us working on the project, they used to have a legacy system. So first thing you might see is that there was no map, which is a bit unfortunate. They deal with a lot of projects, infrastructure projects mostly, and it's very convenient to have them visible on the map, and they didn't have to. They were relying on the Samba server, so for those who might be like under 30 years old, Samba server is a server you run somewhere, and you mount it on your computer just like if it was external drive, for instance, and then you have all the files as if they were part of your file system. So they were relying on that, which works great in some situations, but has a lot of limitation when it comes to transactions and conflict and editing together the same document and things like that. The main database was LibreOffice Calc, which is the open source equivalent of Excel. So it's spreadsheet data. There was a lot of mistakes in the spreadsheet, such as longitude and latitude being mixed up, which obviously is an issue in this situation. And of course, no automatic reporting, and also overall difficult to maintain. So when they reach out, we decided to build a plugin with them that covers their use case. So a view you're familiar with probably. The plugin is on the right side, of course. It requires a connection to a Postgres database, so you can see on the top left. And as soon as you connect, you have to respect some schema but the layers will be loaded directly. Some layers contains geometries. A lot don't actually, and just contain relation or just a list of data, just like regular database table. And on the right side, as you can see, there's a small toolbox, so you can create a project, or you can even copy an existing one if it's faster for your use case. There's also plenty of tools to generate reports or synchronize the map view with the spreadsheet view on the lower corner. And also the biggest part here that we can see is the filtering of projects. So you can filter by city, you can filter by the type of project, by the team who is working on it, and you can apply multiple filters at once, and so on. And of course the map view where you can see all your projects. Yeah, when you double click on one of the rows of the project, you open a detailed project view. So this is fueled by QGIS Forms, of course. And here there are multiple panels. So general information, which is about what you see on the spreadsheet view with the columns with some properties. But you can also have some lifecycle information, impact processes, and territorial initiative. I'm not really going into detail on these ones because they are very, very specific to the business of DDTM. But what's important to know is that it's fueled mainly by the built-in form capability of QGIS. Here we can also have a toggle button to enter edition mode, because otherwise it's just like read view. And when you open the toggle, when you toggle the edition mode, you can modify, of course, all the properties of the project on the different panels. And one part that is interesting is the part here just to edit the geometries. So it's written in French, but it basically means one column for points, one for line, and one for polygons. And each element is like you want to draw a new one, a new point, for instance, or a new polygon, or you want to import from an existing layer you have. So what's interesting here is that if you import from existing layer, it means you can import from whatever QGIS is able to read, meaning pretty much anything. So you don't have to draw everything. You can import data from another department or like cadastre or something like that. Here is an example of how to edit points. So you focus on the project, you double click on it, opening the project view, toggle the edition mode, and then you can draw a polygon. So for instance, let's say your relevant area is as such, and then you validate that, and then just like that, your polygon is now part of this specific project. You can do the same with points and polylines, of course. So that made it quite a lot easier for the DDTM to just edit and modify and come back to a previous version, because that's so simple to use the edition capability of QGIS for this kind of thing. It's everything built in already. Also, native features from QGIS, atlases, and exports of PDF version of it. So here, there's a small button here. When you click on one line of the spreadsheet view, you can directly export a report. It's like one-pager report with a map that you can actually customize. And yeah, that makes it a lot easier to create reports. Keep in mind that's a public agency, so there's still a lot of paper involved in these processes, at least in France. I don't know how it is here, but they rely a lot on paper, and this is quite precious for them. You also have the capability to, for all the projects together, or you can sub-select, export statistics for all of them. So you have a multi-page document with all the numbers you're looking for. So basically, all the properties, all the life cycle statuses about the project and things like that, including plots as well. And the DDTM really wanted to have full autonomy to customize everything, because that's a project we have done for them, but that's not a project they wanted us to be in charge of the maintenance of. So basically we delivered, and then it's their project. So they want to be able, they have technical staff for that, to at least be able to modify it, and they can edit that. So here is a Plotly chart, a pie chart, that you see the JavaScript code just here, just written there, and you can edit, and they can update that if they want to change from pie chart to another type of chart. That's totally possible, and that's fairly easy. So here, also in the same vibe of having the full autonomy on the project, they wanted to be able to change a lot of things if they need to. So for instance, here we have a table that is being selected. It's called destination. So that's the kind of infrastructure the project is about. It's stored in a database. It's the table we see in the middle at number 2. So there's one ID and one short description about this kind of project. And they can just add a row or modify an existing one. And then these changes are being automatically propagated to the drop-down menu. So the list we can see when we filter or when we select as decoration is automatically being fueled by this list. So under the hood, as I said, it used a lot of existing widgets, but there are 2 ones that are very specific to DDTM, which is the capability to select multiple cities. So it's a multi-select widget, if we say. So checkboxes, and it adds to a list. And there is also this widget that we've seen before about drawing lines and polygons. But on the left side, you can see all the tree of widgets that are being used for these different panels. So that's quite a lot of them, but it's like 90% of it is fueled by existing forms already. There is an interesting bit here is how to manage end-to-end relationship, because in this situation you can have many projects per city, but many cities per project. So a city can hold multiple projects, and a project can be halfway or a fairly large footprint between 2 municipalities, for instance. So here we've seen this widget before. You can select multiple cities. As many as you wish, and temporarily these cities ID are being stored in the project table. There's one row which is a string list actually as ID, and when the project is saved, so or with the OK button or with the floppy disk button higher up, there is a synchronization, of course, with the database, and an automatic database trigger that takes the string list of cities and project and dispatch them into a relation table that we see right in the middle. So it looks a bit cryptic because it's just IDs, but this table is matching cities and project IDs together. So this is more performant for doing queries, for instance. And this is being stored, here we can see there's relational layers, and that's only layers or table in the database that handle relations. So those ones should not be modified by the user because they are automatically modified by triggers or directly by synchronization. So to conclude about this project, and especially to make comparison between the legacy system of DDTM and the system they now have. So now they have a map view, so that's already a big win, I think, especially for this kind of project. Thanks to the database and Postgre connection, they have safer transaction, which they definitely didn't have before. They have better interoperability because since it's QGIS, any vector layer can be imported from basically any kind of formats. So they don't have to draw anything or to draw everything by hand. They have automatic reporting and a strict data model. It's customizable, and they have plenty of options, and hopefully that's easy to use. I mean, I think it's easier to maintain than the system they have. So yeah. that was use case for DDTM. Thank you.